Welcome. You've discovered the Paraspective, where your hosts Huck, J-Lo, and Shaggy discuss their thoughts, theories, and opinions on all things paranormal. This is an adult-rated podcast. Some topics of discussion may be offensive. Listener discretion advised.
Yo, what up, Paraheads? I'm Shaggy, and I'm here with my co-hosts,
J-Lo
and
Huck,
and we're part of the paranormal investigation team known as the Para-holiX, and we're here to give you our Paraspective. Now let's get this para party started. Alright, we're back for part 2, sort of, semi, kind of.
for you guys who were here last week and heard our topic of discussion, we have back with us
topics.
Nick.
St. Nicholas the Coon,
Cooner.
part of Para-holiX. Basically, we started out with what is our take on ghosts and, that kind of stuff, which that would be also us, what we are, and that kind of drifted all over the place.
We're paranormal researchers. It covers all aspects of it, not just ghosts.
We go into all of it.
So, just so everyone knows, so
basically,
we don't bound ourselves up with just investigating ghosts.
Exactly. Now, I was seeing this part 2 sort of that, kind of taking it into what happens, in the afterlife, like we were talking about. What is, the afterlife and this kind of stuff. And this gets into, not just the afterlife. What is this right now? What is happening right now?
What is our reality?
I think, therefore I am. That doesn't actually apply.
You know what?
Like it used
I can
to
explain our reality right now.
What is it? Oh God, here it goes. The Matrix. Oh, exactly, perfect. So we're gonna look at the holographic universe, the Matrix. The simulated, reality theory.
As long as you don't talk about flat Earth, dude, I won't have to slap you.
That's later.
Dude,
Actually,
we need to talk about that now. Okay, because the world is fucking round.
Well, if you're talking about holographic, it's got either holographic flat or holographic globe.
It could be
why can't it be both?
Square.
Why can't it be both?
I'm
just saying. I'm just saying.
All I have to say about that is there's no way that if you look at the galaxy and the way it all rotates, there's no way this flat thing is just cutting through space.
But how do you know it actually rotates? How do you know we're not perfectly still and everything's rotating around us?
Look at the galaxy for me. Can you pull it up? Can you show me?
Exactly.
This is yourself.
I'm pretty sure this
don't go to Google or NASA. Never a straight answer.
Look, there was no rules that I couldn't look up. Right?
Hey, I got 3 words for y'all.
We are off the rails.
Truman Show these.
Exactly,
What?
Truman Show. Exactly. They actually
It's
a lot of
right?
flatters follow that model anyway. But why couldn't it be a flat plane with a a round kind of a 3-dimensional, basically a flat plane on top of a ball, suspended in space and time.
If you've seen how hard it is to create
imagine, if you will,
video or a Photoshop pic and all that effort and work it takes going into that, who created that? That's a big camera.
The
shining
creator.
that hologram.
Whoever that is. Yeah. God.exe.
And by the way, we are. By the way, I just want to state we're on Instagram Live, people. So we posted it on our pages for everyone, but we are on Instagram Live. So
these
go
guys
check
aren't
us
gonna
out.
get this for like 2 weeks.
Podcast. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
But we're live.
We're talking
right
about
now.
being live.
Yeah.
So
when this comes out, we won't be live.
That's right. So if they're not watching now, then they're missing all this.
what page is it on? Is it on the Paraspective?
Anybody?
It is on the Paraspective, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay. Good, because that's where I sent everybody.
I'm not gonna go live anywhere else.
Yeah, you're a professional, so.
Okay, so back anybody who sends a camera up, they always use an action camera that has
GoPro.
Distortion.
Exactly.
So you can
That's
never
not
get
proof.
You can never get a true They always show. Well, look, here's the curvature of the Earth. You know, we're this many miles.
No, wait a minute. This is not what this podcast was.
Next to tell me that the lunar eclipse isn't real.
Can you prove it is?
Oh God!
So
you can't solve all your issues with the can you prove it is.
Question everything and believe very little.
Y'all about to make me say fuck y'all, fuck you, and fuck you too.
Okay, so anyhow, back to the holographic theory idea.
All right, let's say this round is just fucking microphone.
It is just a theory.
Exactly. Okay, so
just like we're on a 2-dimensional plane being projected in 3 dimensions.
Speaking of the Matrix that you just brought up, that's one aspect of it. That are we physically, our bodies, whatever we are, is physically somewhere else, plugged in, like his phone is right now to this cord, and we're not physically, we're not here in a real sense. We're actually plugged in, and this is like the Matrix, just like the movie. That's one version of it. The other one would be that basically, like we were saying before, like, okay, I had the 13th Floor movie that I brought out. This is freaking crazy. This is also similar to The Matrix. Now, if anybody has not seen the movie The 13th Floor, I highly recommend it. 1999.
Ooh, I was hoping you would say The Matrix.
No. The 13th Floor was before The Matrix. And what was cool about this movie... I'm not going to read the description of the movie. I'm just going to say...
Oh, no, it's just a joke because I've never seen anything.
Basically, it's set in modern times, for the time of the movie, so around 1999. And there's a group of scientists, and they are creating a Matrix-like existence where they go into, and they, interact with these Sims, like what we were talking about.
It sounds like they stole the idea from Tron.
Well, but the time frame that they created was around the 1920s. Okay, so they go in there and they're doing what they do. Well, at some point they start to discover problems with their own reality, similar to what scientists are talking about now. Theoretical physicists are seeing code woven into the fabric of the universe, basically. Neil deGrasse Tyson and others have talked about this, that there's a 50% chance or higher that we live in a simulated universe or simulated reality.
If you ever bring up Neil deGrasse in our podcast again, I will kick you.
Okay, so
Neil Disgrace Tyson.
I can't say God.
Neil Tyson and Flat Earth are off limits for you?
Huh?
He's not even paying
No, there is a combo.
Yeah, because the flatters don't like Neil deGrasse Tyson, so you're in their camp when it comes to that.
No, man.
There is a song.
How could y'all even give? How could y'all give?
Yes, but
how could y'all give anyone?
Neil deGrasse came back with his I don't know, like nephew or something.
Like
yeah,
that was hysterical.
Yes.
But no,
how could you give anybody who studies quantum physics any credibility at all? Ever.
What about Michio Kaku?
Yeah, Michio
No, dude.
Kaku.
Quantum physics is the theory of studying quantum physics. It's all theoretical science. It's bullshit.
But that's what science really is. It's all theoretical.
No, it's not.
It totally is. The theory of gravity, the theory of evolution, the theory
Check
of
it
this,
out. You
the
want me to
theory of
display
that.
gravity?
Gravity
Show
really
me.
works.
See that?
Wrong answer. You know what that proved? That proved that bottle was heavier than air. That's all that proved. That didn't prove gravity for shit. Because they tell you. What does science say about gravity?
I could throw this bottle up and it'll just keep going.
That's what they told you anyway. But
we're experiencing it.
Okay,
Gravity's a
but
real thing.
Hold
Science
on.
is a real thing.
But what do they tell you gravity is? It's made up by gravitons. This magical thing
where
that
did you
they've
come up
never
with that word
actually
graviton?
seen,
Does it?
or
You
proven.
can throw that bottle up and it'll keep going, but you have to throw it at like 25,000 miles per hour.
It's physically impossible.
You have to go. You have to break the gravitational pull in order to get it
That's
out.
just what they called it. Gravity was just a word they made up to explain why that happens.
I think
the process.
all words come from like a Roman or a
some guy.
Yeah, well, it's
some guy. Well, that proves it.
thanks Lyrica.
His name was Gravitai.
No,
So
it comes
anyhow,
from a Greek
Is
word.
this
That's
actually
it.
going to be the Flat Earth podcast? Because that's not where I was going to take this.
No, it's all the same idea though. Because if it's going to be a holographic,
How is it the same idea?
So he's agreeing with the idea of doing this podcast
Yeah.
if it is flat earthy.
All right, what about a hollow Earth? Let's just go to there too. Might as well. It's all of them. It's flat on a ball that's hollow. Boom.
Journey, that was a pretty good
And next you'll
movie.
tell me that the reptilians are hanging out with Hitler down in Antarctica.
Hey.
That doesn't exist on a flat Earth.
Hey, can you prove it doesn't?
okay, people listening to us right now, we
This is
literally
way-
derailed the train.
This is not
And-
is this a paranormally buzzed?
Hey, no, we're not even drunk.
We're not haven't even
We're
started.
just
drinking
arguing
yet.
already.
So we're going to talk
Is
about
that,
a
is that water
holographic.
wet?
How do you define wet?
That's what she
What
said.
is your definition of wet? How's that joke go? Where NASA wants to discover water on Mars, and Mars wants NASA to come over, but NASA says it's too far away, and Mars says I'm wet, and NASA says I'll be right there.
I see that. I did.
So really, I think we should save the flat Earth for the paranormally buzzed
think
episode.
I think you're just too afraid to.
But anyhow,
No,
the
he
movie
has
The
to be there
13th
for
Floor.
it, though.
Yeah, he does
Yeah.
have to be there.
Oh.
But the 13th floor, what they discover, the scientists that had created that artificial reality, Matrix-like, set in the 1920s that they were going into, they discover that they're also in a simulated reality and didn't realize it.
So wait, they
So
created a
it's
simulated reality
Within a simulated reality, it's like it's kind of like that Dream movie with.
Inception.
Yes, Inception. It's kind of like that, but from a Matrix standpoint. That's crazy.
So maybe DiCaprio was dreaming in a simulation within a dream that was actually a simulation.
Exactly. So
doesn't
maybe
exist.
originally, from one reality, the Earth is round, and in that reality, they created one where it's hollow, and they created one where it's flat.
You think?
Boom!
You think the first dream that we went into an Inception?
Looks like I quit. I believe
The Earth
it
was
right now.
round. The next dream, it was
Literally,
hollow.
work your
and the
magic.
next-
You guys are drunk, dude. What in the hell is going on? I'm inside of a.
Oh God!
You know,
Oh God, you guys.
Not go
you
down
know
right.
when you're talking about parallel universes, there is a possibility for everything. So yes, there is a flat Earth.
Wow! Now that's
Whoa.
crazy.
In
Dude,
parallel.
mind blown. If they're right about like what you just said, that
Then they
every
have to.
there has to be one that's flat.
No,
Why
I'm
can't
saying
it be
no.
the one that we're on?
Yes, but I'm talking about that if they believe that there's a parallel and that anything is possible, they have to believe in the flat Earth theory.
Oh, that's crazy, dude.
Because then it's not a theory because
Right.
they're already saying
If any possibility that
It's
can
possible
exist
that-
does exist, then there has to be a reality where the Earth is flat.
that's right. So in that parallel line, it is not a theory, it is a fact.
But dang it, this is not what this podcast was supposed to be about. Oh, dude.
All right, let's get
We-
back on track.
Not
'cause
did we come off the rails.
I want to
We
hear.
never even got on
Pause
the
and
train.
start.
I want to hear. I'm not. We're gonna move forward, and I'm gonna give y'all all a freebie. I want to pick up with you telling me exactly this idea you have because
Okay.
I've heard it
Don't cut this
probably.
out.
I probably
I
heard
like
this
this.
from you 20 or 30 times,
It
but
could
I
be a
want to really.
mini-sode or something.
I want to hear it.
Well, it kind of fits. It does
All right,
kind of fit.
go ahead.
Actually. So, all right. So basically, the idea that I have as far as how this goes also gets back to the Bible again, which is interesting. Basically, I think a lot of them are looking at it backwards. They're trying to say that we live that our reality, we live in a simulated reality, right? I think it's more that the reality we exist in, the physical, organic reality, is not real. It's not true reality. It exists. Here we are. right? But true reality, and getting back to the paranormal unified field theory again, it exists outside of what we perceive as reality. This is not true reality, which is also echoed in the Bible and all the other ancient texts, as well as what science is saying now through theoretical physicists and others. Have you heard of the double slit experiment? I sent you, or sent somebody, I sent you. I sent it to you.
And I didn't watch it, and that's what you fucking get.
Bastard. So we're even. So basically, what it boils down to is they were looking at, I want to say it was protons, I believe. They were looking at small particles. And what they discovered is it would be a wave or a particle, I think it is, the two different things it could be, and it depended on the observer. So you have to look at it and observe it, and it's one thing. If you don't, it's something else. You get what I'm saying? And that I'm doing a terrible job of explaining it, but look up
is that the same thing that I read, that they said something along the lines, and I'm probably going to jack this all up, but when you're looking at a particle or whatever, and you can see it moving or whatever,
right?
And when you look away, it does something completely different.
It changes, It changes depending on the observer. So, it's
not
kind
the
of like
observer, but merely observing it.
Merely observing.
I saw this on this. It's a show that I believe is already canceled, but you can find it on YouTube. It is Twisted Matters. Twisted but True. Dark Matters, Twisted but True. There you go.
Ah,
They discussed that very thing.
Really?
Yes.
Okay. That's what...
And the soul leaving the body, they discussed that too. And they weighed,
I'm not in the same episode, but is Dark Matters a series?
Yes, it is
I've
a
heard
series.
this.
I don't know,
I've
maybe
heard
5
too.
seasons or something.
Okay.
It's very interesting though.
Right.
It's on
No,
YouTube.
that's basically the idea that, and not only theoretical physicists, but other scientists that are looking at the building blocks of reality. Basically, are saying, ruh-roh, they're really saying that they believe there's a 50% chance or higher that we live in a simulated or created or matrix-like, whatever you want to call it. It's not the evolutionary, organic, thing that we've been led to believe. It's not this big floating accident. There's proof and evidence that points in the direction that this was a created thing, which is interesting because this is coming from atheists and people who do not believe in God or a God. But there's no way around it. If this evidence that they believe they found is correct, that implies a designer.
That's what I was about to ask you. So
there's no way around it.
So this theory that you're talking about or alluding to would mean something as minute and minuscule as a cavity in a tooth has been designed like the Matrix. They had to design it in order for it to appear.
Like
what exactly? To what extent would someone go to make us convince us that this is reality, and for what reason? What's the purpose?
So when I die, do I just get jacked out of the reality? I jacked into reality?
Does that mean you got unplugged, or
quote unquote unplugged?
You got deleted from the game?
Yeah.
I don't know.
You have all the answers, man.
Yeah, no.
You know more
I
about
have all
this
the
than I do.
questions.
He's limited to the physical body.
Right.
So he can't tell you any further.
Right. Well, the programmer's not going to give him the answers because
Exactly.
then you would know.
I always thought of an idea to be cool that basically all of us are just at the mall hanging out, and this is a video game, and the year's really like 5,000 something, and it's the game of life. And we've actually, only been there for, I don't know, maybe 30 minutes to an hour, but inside this game, we've lived a lifetime. And they actually, there was an episode. Any Trekkie fans? Star Trek? Next Generation? Nothing?
No.
Y'all suck. But what is that right there? Oh, nice. Did you see the episode?
This is Star Wars.
Oh, god dang it.
Same thing.
I thought it was a Klingon thing.
Same thing.
Idiot. Yeah, same thing.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, there was an episode where Captain Picard, he gets hit by, there's this probe, not the anal kind, but it hits him right in the head on the what is it, the main part of the ship, the bridge, and he's laid out flat on the ship, and he's in like some kind of coma, and they're trying to revive him. He lives an entire lifetime on another planet, has kids, grows old, and dies. Then wakes up right still on the bridge, and it's only been about 15 minutes. That was that race's way of sharing who they were with anybody else that they encountered. They're long since gone, species extinct. But it was kind of like a what is it called, where you put a bunch of stuff in something and you bury it?
Time
capsule. Boy, y'all all got that. Good job, guys. Basically,
fuck you, Lyrica, fuck you.
Basically, it was kind of like a digital time capsule in a way. And once it picked the person, it downloaded all the information, and they got to experience what it was like to be one of them for a lifetime. So that was a simulated reality that he existed in a lifetime's worth, raised children, completely forgot about his life as Captain Picard, my bad. After a while, he just completely forgot about it. And then he wakes up, and it took him a little bit to kind of get back in the swing of things, but he'd only been gone for about 15 minutes. Going back to the whole time thing you were talking about, how does time relate to all this? I don't know. It's the big question. What exactly are we? Why are we here? Are we just an accident, or did someone design all this and put us here, and for what purpose?
It's a long-running project, whatever it is, because it feels like, dude, we've been knowing each other for over 20 years.
Yep. And we still don't know anything.
Nope. And
So
it
if it's
flew by,
ancient
though.
aliens,
it kind of did fly by.
So an ancient aliens, that's a prevailing theory right now among, out of the box thinkers, people with big poofy hair and whatnot. Right? It's aliens. Okay, the problem with that is, who created the aliens? Well, another race of aliens. Oh, okay. Well, then who created? So on and so forth. It's got to get back to where somebody, something, or somebody outside of this reality that does not exist or is contained within it, bound by its laws, had to be the one that did everything. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
How else could it work?
Well, how about this?
Okay.
I'm gonna throw a crazy theory out here.
Oh God, hold on.
Say the reality we live in right now.
It's a
fake
flat
one.
Earth.
It's a flat Earth, and this bottle is a gravity.
God dang it!
No, but say like the time is right. It's 2017 in the other reality,
Right.
or the actual reality, and we create this because of some epidemic, or we're in like some sleep chamber or something. We're traveling somewhere, and we've created our own reality. And say this is my reality right here,
Right.
and you guys don't even fucking exist.
Oh, now that's interesting.
You know what I mean?
My wife's talked about that before. Is this my reality and none of y'all are real?
Or like
how
say,
would you know?
say I'm on the edge of dying,
Right.
and you guys have just hooked me up to
Oh,
something.
you're creating me and John, and
How do you really
we'd
know?
have to all be sharing a reality, wouldn't we?
Well, no.
No,
Well, say,
how do you?
I'm real, and you three are fake,
But-
and then you're real, and us three are
But what
fake.
makes us real? How do we know that?
He's talking about all of it.
like, say all of it's fake. Say
Right.
this
Any of
doesn't
you
So
exist.
your existence or whatever it is, you're projecting your own reality elsewhere that
have
he can't tap into.
Have any of
wow.
you, and even in your far-fetched way of thinking, ever stopped and thought about just what is tangible? That word exists for a reason. This is tangible. Like, these pants are tangible, the phone's tangible. This is tangible
But
stuff.
is it though?
It really is.
But how do you?
If
know?
you poke me, I'm going to hurt and bleed. If you stab me, I'm going to bleed. I'm going to hurt.
But if that's how it was written, if that's how it was,
How it was
if that was
programmed.
the code was
look at the
programmed.
size. Okay, look at what you consider big. Let's take that perspective for a second. I'm going to throw something at you. So just look at what do you consider, like, let's say a 2-story house. Okay, so
Okay.
I think all of us can agree if you fell off of a 2-story roof, that would hurt, and you consider that pretty high up. It could
I've
kill you.
jumped off of a 2-story roof.
That's because you're an idiot. But that's not
I
neither here nor
jumped off
there.
on one story.
So
That's
let's
pretty
just
bad.
assume that that's what you consider grandiose.
Okay.
It goes way beyond that. It goes way, way beyond that. So if you can 5 seconds wrap your brain around what infinite is and where the end of our galaxy is, or universe, whatever, then you've got to believe there's something beyond that to consider there's a writer or a creator. So think about how big what you consider big is.
Well, how
and
big
then
is the universe?
Well, they say it's ever expanding.
Who says that?
They.
And you know what's, and you know what's funny? You know what's funny? Think about it.
Don't get me started
There's a
about
galaxy in the universe, and it's ever expanding. But where's it existing while it's doing this
That's
expanding?
what I've always questioned.
So is
Where
there
it
light
expanding
outside of
to?
that?
That's
Is,
good.
or do you just keep going in darkness and hit a wall?
It's
And then there's a
expanding,
globe?
and they're just programming you to make you think that it's just getting bigger.
But
and
think
bigger
about
and
how
bigger.
big we consider big is.
Right.
Now, how big does that person have to
Okay,
be
now you're
on the outside of the globe?
Now
That
takes it another direction.
that's so. There's the universe, and there's the all the galaxies,
Right.
Because they said there's thousands of them, millions of them. So
Okay.
they're inside this big globe, and we consider that big, the roof of the house. Now, imagine how big that person is, or that creator is, that's sitting outside of that globe, looking into it with all the millions of galaxies.
Okay, I have something to go with this. I've thought about this question.
Who created
before.
that world?
You know,
How big does that person
How
gotta be?
big do things actually get? How small do things actually get? Now, what if it's all self-contained? In other words, if you had the ability to grow indefinitely, infinitely, and you just kept growing, and you just kept getting bigger and bigger, and you saw the planets, and they were getting smaller and smaller, and then you saw galaxies, and then you saw...
You wouldn't be able to exist, though.
But what happens if, as that's happening, it actually does a loop, and you actually go full circle to where everything that's small is also planets and galaxies. You know what I'm saying? It's a big loop. If you could shrink down as small as you could,
Like a Benjamin Button effect.
yeah, you get small enough to where you were down into particles and atoms and nucleus, and what
it's
that
like
actually ended
another-
up being is galaxies. And as you kept getting smaller and smaller, as the galaxy is coming up on you, it's getting bigger and bigger, and then it's becoming solar systems and planets, and it's just one big
Right.
loop.
But
In other words, you're self-contained.
That's a really extravagant
within
theory.
it.
That's a really extravagant theory, but scientists can already see down on the molecular level, and they know they're not little humans down there looking at galaxies.
Yeah, but how
It's just a
far?
theory.
How far have they gone?
Yeah, how far? What if they can?
He's just saying, how tiny do they have to be that we can't see that they're there?
But that's what I'm saying, though. They'd be between... They would be on the other side of the nucleus, protons, and all the smallest molecules we know as man.
Mm-hmm.
They'd have to live on another level below that. So why would that be? Why would that exist? That doesn't
If
make
we
any
had the
sense.
answer
Like the
for some of that,
That's the same
you know,
the
question.
rationale to some of these theories, guys, you really got to think about how crazy it sounds before you just go off
But what I'm
half
saying
cocked.
is,
I mean,
the point is, we don't know shit. That's the bottom line. Is we
do
think
know,
we know,
but what we do know is what we see, and that's all we know.
but do we?
Yes. What you see from your eyeballs are all you can see. That's a curtain. You're a man. You're a man. That's a table. That's a microphone. That's what we call galaxies. But we do know it's infinite as far as the eye can see. So where does that darkness stop? That's the real question. That's what we need to try to figure out and solve. What's now? What's
But
present
we
time?
only know what they've
What's
told
tangible?
us in most cases. Yeah, I mean, I can look at that and I think that's a curtain. I think you're a man and this is a table.
We don't disagree on that,
But
right?
we
None
don't
of us
know-
thinks that's... Nobody looks at that and thinks that's a blob of life, do we? I don't think... I mean, that's a
You know what
bottle.
I think is awesome is
You leave it on the sun,
is
I'll
the
turn it away.
reality that he's plugged into has free thinkers. Think about that.
So-
exactly.
Free your mind, man.
But
He's on another level here.
Totally.
So let me ask y'all this: have any of y'all ever just stopped and thought about like how vast space is and what could be at the end of it, or what would be the end of it? Have you ever thought
Not
about it?
gonna like my answer to this.
I think what you're thinking of is that there's an end to space. But the way Shaggy's bringing it up is that just goes into a different reality. Once you hit the end of space, it's like it doesn't even. There's not a roadblock.
Oh, I
It's
see
just-
what you're saying.
You know what I mean?
Okay. No, what I'm saying in that aspect is in this reality that we exist in, whatever it is. First of all, if space is like they've told us it is, and again, all that information comes from NASA. Never a straight answer. I don't particularly believe them just because they've shown us, photos of galaxies and all this crap they've supposedly seen through telescopes. I don't believe it just because they've told me that, first of all. But let's just say for the sake of discussion, it is like what they've told us. And it's ever expanding and it goes on forever. That would be this reality. I don't even know what indefinite would be, what you would call infinite, but what I'm talking about would exist outside of that. A higher dimensional plane that not only can we not access, your brain can't even begin to comprehend what it is. It's similar to the idea of flat land. The two-dimensional. Have you heard that was proposed? The way to describe the different dimensions is you've got a race of beings called flatlanders. They live in a two-dimensional world. They cannot see up into a three-dimensional reality. They live in a two-dimensional
episode.
Well, it's funny. They did talk about that. But if they were existing right here on this table and they did not have the ability to look up and into a three-dimensional reality, and you took your finger and you stuck it right down, all they would see is in my case, a white or a peach-colored circle touch down on their flat ground. They would not perceive, they would have the inability to perceive my finger and on up to my hand and the rest of my body. That's where I see us in our third-dimensional reality we exist in. We are incapable of perceiving these higher dimensions. That's what I'm talking about. It's something.
You don't consider that insultuous to?
How so? Because that's what. Well, do you believe in a creator / God / something other than us?
Has to be.
Okay, that's where that individual exists. Whoever, whatever, he, she, it.
What if that though? Created it, and then it perished. It ceased to live.
Now you're in a whole nother.
So that thing created us. Yeah. We were kickstarted.
For that too.
We were kickstarted, and then that thing grew old and died.
Right.
And now we're just a result of that, and we just keep going. And unfortunately, it's evolution, and I'm not an evolutionary thinker.
Right. No.
But it kind of is evolution.
Okay. What if organic life, which is what we are organic machines, right?
Mm-hmm.
Heart, brain, it's all organic, but it's a machine-like type of deal. What if that is artificial? Oh shit. What if our organic physical reality is artificial and robotics, that kind of technology, is actually true reality, and what actually created us was some kind of computer of some kind of a machine?
Somebody would have to create that though.
Why? Why does that? You know what I mean?
I just can't wrap my brain around the idea that something one day just began to exist.
But that's what is God? What is the creator? Is it a fleshly being like us? Is it a spirit being? Is it a machine?
I think our God is just a kid with a freaking magnifying glass, burning legs off ants.
But like what he said, who created that kid?
Here's the sucky part. We're left.
He just formed. I don't know.
Here's what sucks is we're left to just wonder these things the rest of our lives, and if we're lucky, we get answers. But we probably won't be because none of us are going to win the lottery. So we're not going to ever learn the real truth.
I don't think we're meant to, though.
Not until we pass.
We're also under a control.
I can't. It's like. And back to what you're saying about NASA, telling us the truth or whatever. So do you think an entity like NASA or the government, shadow government, whatever, do you think they would go to the extent of changing their own theories and ideas and their own, for example, our planetary system. So Pluto was a planet at one time.
Right.
So they've
got the boot.
Yeah, they've taken the time to teach us since the youngest.
Planet in my heart.
Pluto was a planet,
yes.
And now they're coming back saying, "No, it's really not. It's just a rock. It's not really a planet."
But you know why they?
But why would they go to that extent? Why would they bother?
Well, you know
just
what?
Leave it
The
a planet.
official story is why they kicked it because there's objects larger than it that exist further out. They've been talking about
because the telescopes advance
and a tent
right
and a cell
as
phone,
as our technology
didn't they say there's something
grows,
in between?
people can see further. Obviously, so
was it Pluto and
But again, this is what they
Uranus?
tell us.
Uranus.
No. But when you look, did you all ever watch the old Universe TV show? The Universe, I think that's what it's called. I think Morgan Freeman did the narrating for it. That was an awesome show. My kids liked it when they were younger, and it was kind of like their science part of their schooling and whatnot. But the thing about it always used to irk me about that show is that whenever they would show us these amazing galaxies and these planets and all this awesome stuff. They didn't show us any of it. Not one time. You know what they showed us? CGI BS. That's what they showed us.
Yeah.
Why? Because if they showed us what they really saw through the telescope, it had little blurry fuzzy dots, and they used math and equations to tell us, well, this is an Earth-like planet, and
to project,
if we can get there, but unfortunately it's quadrillion, fulfillion, million light years away, and we'll never be able to go.
And using our X-ray
pay your taxes
and
and shut the
infrared
fuck up.
cameras,
Right.
we're able
That's
to
basically what, you know what I mean? I think it's all distraction, personally.
You know, now I'm not going to lend to any of these far-fetched beliefs. I will say, though,
this guy.
but I will say that something that perplexes me is the idea that our galaxy only rotates on a linear orbit. That's frustrating to me. Why don't they recognize anything above and below?
Well,
Our galaxy, you see what I'm saying? Our planetary system, it orbits on a linear rotation. Some of the planets are more elliptical than others, but it is all going this way.
The way we just... It was just like
but
that.
No, it's all going this way.
There's prevailing theories.
So why are
that
the planets
different than
caught in that orbit, only going around orbiting this way? So what's up there and all that vastness?
Okay.
And what's down there and all that vastness? Are there no planets?
Well, that's a good question. You know, what's up and down in space? But you know that they look at all the different models that they've told us, there are problems with them. So there's different models that have come up. Have y'all heard of the spiral one, the kind of a corkscrew type of deal, where instead of us being flat, you know, like this, and spinning like a record, right?
Yeah,
the sun,
we're spinning
it's
like
actually
elliptical,
sideways,
yeah.
and it's this way, and the sun's actually moving through space, and we're doing this kind of funky S
Elliptical.
curve
Yeah, it's
behind it,
elliptical.
and we're all moving that direction.
But wouldn't that mess with like our days and nights?
Nope. If
Not everything stayed in constant rotation
it's all
and
moving
stayed in a
together.
program.
But
so to
think
speak.
about it. If I'm say we're taught this, we're going around this way,
Right.
but we're actually going around this way.
Mhm.
Wouldn't it mess with the way the sun comes up? It actually come up in the north instead of the
But
south.
remember, it's not just setting still, moving this way. It's moving forward, and we're actually going around it in this kind of funky.
You know what's funny is
I see what you mean. Corkscrew.
corkscrew, right? Have you
Yeah.
ever
Yeah,
seen
you
it?
know
Look
what's
that
funny
model
is-
up. It's interesting.
Or just think of a spring, you know.
What's funny is I've came
Right.
back to this over and over again. It's all perspectively speaking.
It really is.
Perspectively, not perspective.
Yeah,
It's perspectively speaking because we see the sun coming up in the east and setting in the west.
Mhm.
You know, that's our perspective. But if we are on a tilt while we're doing it,
Yeah.
to you, what's north and south? It doesn't matter. You've been taught.
Right.
Now I'm lending to your idea of
Exactly.
control.
What we believe is
What's north and what's south?
everything
We
we
could
believe.
literally, our solar system could be standing up at 90 degrees.
Yeah. We've
We
been
wouldn't know
taught
any
this
different.
stuff.
What is direction in space, though?
Yeah. Well,
Yeah, you get out there and
that's
get
a good-
ejected out of the space shuttle, you'll find out real quick.
Is that the cops? Have they been calling on us?
Oh, there's an ambulance.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, ambulance.
Yeah, it looked like an animal.
Huck had a heart attack as we kept mentioning flat Earth. But speaking of the same idea, okay, that's the heliocentric model of the universe. The balls and everything goes around the balls, all that business. Well, there is the what's the other one? There's heliocentric, and then there's God
don't
dang
know,
it, I can't
you
remember
got
what
me.
it's called, but
Yeah.
You
But
studied that
basically,
way more than I do.
When there's a group of scientists that are actually very anti-flat Earth. They're very angry at the whole flat Earth guys because they think it's
I
a
don't blame
psyop to pull away from their information. They believe in the ball theory of everything, except for one difference. God, it's going to irritate the hell out of me. I can't remember what it's called. Geocentric. Geocentric. In other words, they did the scientific method to look for the red shifting. Following the radiation of the Big Bang, the outward, the explosion, and the math and the science shows that everything is expanding from Earth's perspective, back to perspective.
Like we're the center of it
Like
all.
we're the center, and we're not moving, but everything else is moving around us. They believe it's a ball. Everything's balls. They're all on the balls. All right, but it's just we're here. And everything rotates around us. That's the geocentric model versus the heliocentric. And I don't have a lab and any kind of expensive scientific gear, so I haven't ran any of these tests. I'm just saying based on what there's supposed to be a pretty good documentary about it that they produced. And I can't remember what it's called.
What's funny,
But-
this is the crazy part, and I've heard a couple different theories on how this ended up the way it did, but and you know where I'm going with this.
Right.
People say, well, there's a creator God, an all-merciful God. So he's built this model around us because we were created in his image. So
Somebody's house is on fire or something.
That's a fire truck.
That's a
so
fire truck.
basically,
This is one hot podcast.
you know, they say
It's
that
on fire.
basically if we moved even a smallest amount
Uh-huh.
away from the sun, we would freeze, and if we moved towards the sun, we would burn up.
Right.
And so Christians say, well, that's the model. God built it for us. You know, this is
that's
he's
proof
built
that it was
right.
designed by God.
for us.
Yeah, I've heard that before.
But who's to say we're not beings who just adjusted to the environment over time? You know, thousands of years.
You know, there are ancient records that they don't talk about a lot of these, but there's ancient records that talk about a time before the moon. Now, we was always told if it wasn't for the moon being right where it was, this
we'd
planet
burn up.
would be inhabitable because the tides would it would be a mess. It would be totally, devastation. But our moon is different. According to what they tell us, again, this goes back to what they tell us, that our moon is an oddity. Its size and distance to the planet is rare. Most other planets have 2, maybe 3 moons. They're smaller and further away. There's a difference to them, right? Ours seems to be strange. Some might even say artificial.
And
It's a Death
isn't it
Star.
supposed to be like proportional, exactly proportional to Earth and like the sun, like size wise?
Right, exactly. That's another one of those interesting things where the sun and the moon are exactly the same size when crossed with each other. You see what I'm saying? In perspective,
Yeah.
wise,
Yeah.
which is,
And
how
on
could that be an
thought,
accident?
let's take a break and take a short breather, and we'll gain our thoughts, and we'll come back to you in just a moment with the Paraspective.
We would like to take this time to thank everybody for checking us out here on the Paraspective podcast. We'd also like to remind everybody to please go check out our website, Para-holiX.com. That's Para-holiX.com, where you can find links to our Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, as well as information about us and what we've been up to. And now, back to the show. Back to the show. Back to the show. Para-holiX.
Para-holiX.
Back to the show. Back to the show.
Para-holiX.
And now, back to the show. Back to the show. And now, Para-holiX.
Para-holiX.
Live.
And we're back.
And we're back with the Paraspective. If you're listening, God
bless
forbid.
you.
God forbid. And if you're watching, again, I'm sorry.
Gathering, this has not been Huck's favorite episode. But
I get real hung up on the whole theoretical science stuff and the quantum physics. I have such a hang up with it because
gives you the red ass.
well, the biggest problem I have with it is
Oh,
there's
that
so
was
many
genetics.
scientists. One of them red ass monkeys you see at the zoo. There's so many scientists out there like
Michio Kaku.
yeah, and
Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Yeah, I don't even want to say their name. I'll burst into flames. Those guys make
Bill
such
Nye the Science Guy.
Oh, Bill Nye the Science Guy.
World.
These guys.
I
make
was a
such
Beekman guy, I
They
liked
was-
Beekman. He was awesome.
They make such a lucrative living.
Beekman's World.
You hear me?
They
They
what?
make such a lucrative living
Yep.
off of theoretical science. It's not real. It's
I could
their
be one of
idea.
those guys. I've got a lot of theories and ideas that I can't prove. I'm just
look.
saying.
You can't be upset because your reality of being placed into this form is limiting your thought.
He's mad because we've taken his reality away.
the bottom line is I'm not a deep thinker.
Not in his plug-in,
I'm a layman kind of guy,
Oh, God.
and I like to take things at face value.
But that makes sense, though. Your line of work is being a machinist. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
That makes total sense. But what we were talking about during the break that they didn't hear yet is another aspect of this whole, not so much the holographic part, but the simulated idea is that this is actually a school. This would also go back to the reincarnation idea, that as spirit beings or whatever that is, interdimensional, whatever.
A school or a vicious cycle?
Both. But basically, what we are outside of this physical machine that we're in now, we chose to come here to experience exactly what's happening now. The jobs we have, the spouses, the children, the ups, the downs, oh my God, kill me now. Everything that we have to go through, we chose that, had our hard drives wiped and dropped off so we could experience that. And maybe it's almost like, to extend that a little further, maybe it's almost like this is how the creator experiences these types of things, is through each and every one of us.
So why does time change then? So the people that lived during the Renaissance period that experienced the Black Plague and all the bubonic plague and stuff, like, that's the only choice they had? Like, thank you.
Hey, awesome, bro.
Background noise for the people at home.
Background noise.
The microphone's really good. We just 1 o'clock in the morning. We got hot rodders speaking by.
That's a good question, though. I mean, why
change it?
Well,
make it this way forever.
Well, some would even go as far as to say if there, are extraterrestrials, that's also a part of it. This is just another. So each timeline, each planet, each area. So there are, for example, if Greys really exist, then they also are an organic machine that someone chose to experience a reality in them, coming to Earth, abducting and probing your ass. I mean, I'm just saying. I mean, it's a possibility. Well, I took that quick. Y'all didn't even see that coming. That's what she said. But the point is,
down the penis hole.
The point is, all of it could be explained from that aspect that this is a school, sort of type of deal. You know what I mean? And we're here to experience this.
Well, what if it's going back to that? What if the reality? Say that history of Black Plague. Say the reality didn't kick in until later. Say our history is the same. We dropped a bomb in Nagasaki or whatever the hell it was called.
Right.
And then something happened, and we kicked into this reality. We created a reality to live into, to live out whatever is going on.
Or what if this is just how the school's designed? That it starts for who is a big Minecraft fan? Oh, well, that's two of us. So basically, you're dropped into the Minecraft world, for those that don't know, with nothing. And you have to start gathering supplies, and you get wood, and you punch wood. You get stone, you make tools.
In real time, night is coming in 15 minutes.
Right.
So you have 15 minutes to gather.
You're dropped in this reality with nothing.
You don't know where you're going to be dropped.
Right.
It's random.
All biomes are different each and every time, in some way or another. So it starts out with nothing, and by several hours later, sometimes 4 to 8 hours at a time, you have everything. You have so much crap, this massive castle, all the gold and diamonds that the game is so boring. You finally turn it off because you got everything, but you started with nothing. Now, what if that's following your line of thinking? So thousands of years ago, when it started, maybe it goes so far, and then there's a reset. Oh shit! And then it starts over, nothing, and then it goes up. You know what I'm saying? Maybe there's a predetermined. Who knows how far it is? It may be another 1,000 years from now, and then something happens, wipes the game clean or whatever, and starts over again.
Like the dinosaurs, or
something like that.
Like, what was that movie, The Time Machine, where he went so far into the future,
right.
They had reverted back to where we're living in tribes.
Exactly, and they had split up into two separate groups: an underground dwelling monster of some kind, and perfect looking humanoids, but they were dumb as shit. And the creatures that lived underground, they fed and they took care of. Yeah, they took care of all. It was like living in the Garden of Eden with one small catch. every once a day this a bell or alarm would go off, and they were in a trance, and they marched right into the cave so they could be eaten. Ooh, nice.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, which is funny because, speaking of scientists again, they've talked about, where do they get this crap from? I have no idea. But I remember hearing about this, I can't remember where, but scientists were theorizing and believing that, evolutionarily speaking, way into the future, we would split off into two separate groups. Just like that. An ugly, short, troll-looking thing, and the beautiful, tall, good-looking people. You know what I'm saying?
It's hard to believe. I mean, we're all going to evolve eventually. It's going to happen.
But
if you believe in evolution.
If you believe it, right, exactly. But some small evolutionary changes happen, and if your little group is exposed to terrible water, terrible food, all this kind of crap, while another group, say, I don't know, a group with lots of money, for example, they get all the best of everything, and they stay within their little groups, you would expect the one group that has the best of everything to be the healthiest, the strongest, not to mention if all the science keeps changing and they can do designer babies, which they suppose they already can.
Yeah.
You
extend
can
their life so they can
extend
live
their
300, 500
life.
years.
You can have enhancements to your DNA through like gene editing and
make your boobs bigger.
CRISPR-Cas9 technology. If you haven't looked into that, check that out. Because exactly, you can be smarter, you can be stronger, you can run faster, all that kind of stuff. Who's going to get that technology? We ain't gonna get that shit.
Yeah.
Our kids ain't gonna get that crap. They're gonna get that. So that would be a forced evolutionary change that would, over time, divide the species.
I don't know that so much they would
apart.
evolve as much as just die off, because your body can only be exposed to that kind of crap so long, and you're just gonna get sick and die. I just don't think
that's true. We're so far ahead medical wise. If something did happen, and you say an epidemic happens and you cut your hand out there and you don't have antibiotics, you could die.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
yeah, but what if this physical body is just part of the evolution of us?
Well, I think we're getting off a little bit because you were talking about what's real and what's fake, holographic Earth and everything. So at some point you have to decide, if you're a scientist or not, you have to decide, is this reality real or is this hologram you're talking about?
Right.
So everybody has to make that decision. If not, then you're going to live strictly by the religious background, the idea that there's a God and everything is by faith,
or YOLO,
or atheist. so you have your atheist background, which is nothing. We're animals and we die. You have your Christians, and then you have this theoretical science, which is so insulting to me. I just puked in my own brand new Adidas right now. I get, and for me, it's insulting because I just feel like I don't consider myself a super intelligent person, but I know I'm not dumb as a bag of rocks either. So I see everything around me, and I perceive it as reality. For somebody to come at me like DeGrasse or somebody and say that this theoretically not real.
Okay, but now wait a minute though. We talked about it earlier, and from a paranormal perspective, we don't see everything. There is a light spectrum of infrared and ultraviolet that we don't even see.
That, as you were saying,
I stole it from you.
No. That's the perks of this reality. What are you talking about? That's what gives us our purpose as paranormal researchers.
Yeah,
that's
what
the
I'm
fun
saying,
part.
that kind of contradicts though what you're saying, in that reality is only what you see. How do you explain all the crap that we, scientifically speaking, can't see that's around us?
It doesn't contradict what I said at all.
How not?
Because it is a reality. It's in another light spectrum. You just can't see it. You like the air. Look, it's like T-Bone said back in the day. You like to breathe the air, but you can't see the wind.
Right.
So the reality of it is it's there, and it just gives us drive and purpose to look for it. And it's that interaction from that outside source that we have to discover.
But what if it's deeper than just not being able to see it? What if it's actually in another dimension? Because my take on it, speaking physically, right? If there's something on this table, and it's just in another light spectrum that I can't see it, it's still there. It's here right now. Why can't I still hit it? Just because I can't see it
'Cause
doesn't mean I can't hit
You're
it.
comparing an inanimate object, though, to a living being, in my opinion.
But that's what I'm saying. That's where what we're saying, I think, intertwines in that not only is it in another light spectrum, but that other light spectrum is in another dimension from our perceived reality.
Yeah.
Like bleed through?
Basically.
What?
Kind of like a bleed
like
through.
bleed through?
And every now and then the veil is thin enough to where, and this could explain some paranormal stuff. Maybe it explains all paranormal stuff.
That veil could be being disrupted by paranormal, by waves, energy waves, by these CME or whatever they call them that come from the sun. Those bursts
Exactly
could change it.
That's why we modify our cameras so we have a greater chance. We don't know what wavelength whatever this is going to appear in.
So I'm basically saying that I think this
not
explains all of it. It all works together.
Right. But it's not a quantum physical theory at all. You're factually putting in a film that changes the light that the camera sees.
Right.
So that's a reality. That's not theoretical. It's not anything above common sense.
But now you just said it though. It's a reality. What I'm talking about though, what if there are multiple realities that we don't even perceive? And this goes back to, and I wanted to get into this too. Who's heard of the D-Wave quantum computer?
Heard. Loosely heard.
Okay. Yeah.
Basically, if you haven't, you should look it up because it's creepy as fuck. Basically, it is the size of 2 refrigerators, give or take, put together. It's pretty good size. And I seen it. I believe it might have been a TED Talk. I'm not sure, but the guy that was head of the corporation or the company was talking about him, and they admit this kind of a whoop, whoop, whoop sound. And he said, when you're standing near it, it's kind of like standing, in front of the altar to an alien god. His words. And basically, what it does is it pulls from other dimensions for computing power and processing.
Okay, with that being
let me
said,
say that again.
Wait a minute. With that being said,
right,
then that means that they have proven that there are other dimensions.
Exactly.
So why aren't they telling us?
Exactly. That's exactly what I'm saying. Okay, now to take that...
It's funny how these scientists think they're so higher than us and smarter and more intelligent than us that they could let shit like that slip by and we're not going to catch it. It's like, fuck around, not that stupid.
How much
I heard what you said.
Shit, though.
Well, here's the thing.
The thing is that go back in time. Go back in our recent past.
Right.
We've bullshitted people
all
the time.
Absolutely.
How much of it's... What if this is just another bullshit
You're
scheme?
absolutely right. How much of this is just total garbage, right? Okay, but here's the thing. These computers, as you can imagine, are expensive as hell. Who has some of these computers?
And why?
Well, NASA.
Why?
Google. And a few other corporations like... Yes.
Why?
Yes.
Why would they need them? For what purpose?
Exactly.
What are they selling them for? Like, what's the sales pitch here? Do you want to see other dimensions?
I don't know.
And pray to an alien god?
That is
yes, me. Please.
That's a good point.
Give me $1 trillion and I'll give you one.
What else has Google and NASA done in the past? Well, and some people would say not always good things. Not always having us here on the bottom with our best interest in mind. So... what exactly can these devices do? Did I forget to mention who else has one? CERN's. The particle collider. And that gets into the hashtag Mandela effect. Oh yeah, I took it straight there. Because that's another, and this relates also to what we're saying. Okay, there's a video, and I think some of y'all have probably seen it. It's that 13-year-old genius kid that his dad was filming him. I think he's from England or something. And he's not the only person to talk about the Mandela effect, but he had an interesting way of describing it. Theoretical physicist again.
I did see a video.
You did see that, where he basically says that one thing that could explain, again, this is theoretical, but the whole Mandela effect, which is a whole separate podcast, but it deals with alternate dimensions of reality, which is kind of what we're talking about here. Well, which is exactly what we're talking about here. But the idea is that when they fired up that particle collider, that it destroyed the universe that we were in and pushed us into one right next to it. Have you ever seen the TV show Sliders? That old school? Okay, think of that. When they fired that thing up, it destroyed that universe and bumped us into the one right next to it. And then it's created a chain reaction and it's destroying reality, the fabric of reality.
Why aren't we experiencing it then? Why are we being spared?
We are, though. And that's what he was saying. Again, theoretically, but that would be what the Mandela effect is,
No.
and all this other crazy crap. I mean, like we were joking all about the flat Earth not too long ago. That's not new. That's old shit right there.
That goes
right?
way back to like 1492.
Why the hell did it have such a resurgence like a couple years ago?
A basketball player started talking about.
Isn't that dumb?
Yeah,
Isn't that dumb?
And
Columbus
then
sailed
everyone,
the
He
sea
plays
to
with a
prove the Earth
round
wasn't
ball
flat.
for a living.
Everyone-
What is
And
he
here we
doing?
are in 2017 going,
everyone
oh, it's
started making
flat.
fun of him.
Okay, now
minute.
wait a minute. Are y'all saying that the entire resurgence, the flat Earth theory, stems from a basketball player mentioning it? I would think that's ridiculous myself. But what I'm saying is,
it's been there. It's like been back here and like the shadows.
yep.
And then this basketball player brought it up, and then people started looking into it.
I think it would have to be way deeper than that. It's not going to have spread like it has because of one basketball player.
Well, dude,
mentioned
look at
It's amazing what's driving this thing.
Look,
Stupid crap. Like the other day I was watching on Facebook, everybody was talking about this Sinbad, how this is ironic. We were talking about Sinbad earlier with the Jingle All the Way. The movie that he was supposedly in called Shazam. And everybody was like, no, that there was no movie. And then to people who were like definitively sure it was.
Right.
There was. And they showed it. They found it. And now they're showing it. He was a character. These two white kids. Did you see it? The two white kids
That was a
found it.
that was a joke that he did, right?
He
Because
made a
everybody-
trailer because of it.
He made
So
a
it's a
trailer
joke. It's
as
not
a
even
joke
an existing
to troll
movie.
people because so many people were saying he was in a movie that he wasn't. It was actually Shaq. He was in a movie called Kazam.
How funny is that?
Yeah.
That when they filmed it, though, they filmed it like they used an 80s camera.
Yeah.
They did.
They made it
even
look like
mention
a
that.
Saturday
Yeah, they
morning
made it all
or an after school
Or they're
special.
lying to us all. I'm just saying. Okay.
Because
But
now
that's-
that you said that, I don't feel all that dumb. Because Sinbad did look older in that. I was like,
Yeah.
man, he already looked like he'd aged a little bit.
He did
Yeah, I
not
thought it was
age
interesting
well.
though that he actually went along. That was cool.
Right. Yeah, it was kind of funny. But because this has to do with the nature of reality that we live in, that does include the Mandela effect, and that's worthy of a podcast all on its own. But some of those, I think, are just ridiculous. They're just mistakes. Some of them are harder to explain. But my biggest problem with it overall, and this goes the same with the flat Earth, I sit back and I look at these oddities, right? And I think, where did this come from? That's why I look into this crap. I find it fascinating. I don't care whether it's right or not. I'm more curious as to where did this come from? Why is this getting such traction? Well, the same with the Mandela effect. That's not new. It actually goes back to some Fiona Horn, I think her name was. She was a witch or something. She made a comment about believing. Speaking of your basketball idea with the flat Earth, she said on I can't even remember what it was. I don't know if it was a documentary or what it was, but she completely remembered. Had this memory, this false memory of Nelson Mandela dying in prison.
Yeah, this is where it
And
started.
so many people shared that same thing. I think it was a terrible name to call this phenomenon, whatever it is, the Mandela effect. Because to me, that's not a great example of what this thing is or is not. But it grew from there. But here's my biggest problem with it, and this is what they'll tell you. And a lot of podcasts, Hysteria 51 did one on it, and several others have. And a lot of them come to the conclusion that, and I'm not saying they did, I think they did, but a lot of them have, where they just, more rational thinking people will say, it's just people misremembering. That's all it is. We stupid humans. We got terrible memories. And we know this is true. We got a terrible memory.
Yeah, but
not
a
just
whole
America.
group-
It's just,
a whole
here's
mass.
my
of
problem. Why is everybody misremembering it together the exact same way? You think if we have terrible memories, then why are we misremembering it all the same way? If our memories are so bad, that's what the cause is. Why isn't there 50 different versions of each one of these things?
Instead of just
variations.
two. Yeah, there's two.
Well, the answer to that, they claim, is the interwebs. The internet. Everybody's getting it from the internet. So you had one person
So you're
that
being
said,
fed. So we're all being fed a lot.
that Luke, Darth Vader said, he didn't say, Luke, I am your father. But even the guy that played him misquoted his own line when he was saying it back in a interview or something. So he says it wrong, so everybody else remembers it wrong, and it spreads like wildfire until everybody in any movie you've ever seen, show me one movie where they were making a spoof on the Darth Vader scene where they don't say, Luke, I am your father. Tommy boy, Luke, I am your father, when he talks into the fan.
Yep.
Total misquote. It's wrong, according to what they claim now. So is it all just...
Have you gone back and listened to Tommy Boy to make sure you're not wrong?
Yeah.
You make me want to go back and go listen to it now.
But, if the other theory is correct, that this is some kind of a dimensional shifting, time altering, whatever, you're not going to find one where it's the way you remember it being. But then again, why do you remember it being that way if it was changed? Yeah, exactly. What? And then he gets into the scriptures that were supposedly changed. All this.
Yeah.
It just gets really.
The lion laying with the sheep, and
Yep.
the wolf being a sheep.
There's so many of them that are just mind blowing. Oh, here's an example. You're a Star Wars fan, I'm guessing, right? With that tattoo.
Yeah.
What color was C-3PO?
Yeah, it depends on what movie you're watching.
The first 3 original
I
movies.
think he was the first 3, the 4, 5, or 5.
The original.
The
It was
original.
white and blue.
He was like a silvery gold.
No, not R2-D2. The other one.
Oh,
The talking one.
Oh,
He was like a silvery gold
it
color.
was gold.
But you would say, I would say gold.
Gold.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Hands
I
down
would
gold.
say a chrome gold.
Yeah.
That
Kinda,
shiny-
right.
Yeah, that's what I would say.
Well, you'd be wrong. Because now, and apparently always has been, his right leg... Let's see. Let me think about it from perspective. Well, I can't remember which one it is because I'm looking at it backwards in my mind. But he had, from the knee down, one of his legs was silver. Perfectly color-clashingly silver up against his gold contrasted body. And if you go back and look, you will not find one where he is not that way. He has a silver leg. And I even saw a 30-second YouTube clip from about a year ago of the actor who played him saying, yeah, it was always a silver leg. In fact, when we would be out in the desert, the sun would contrast off of the sand and the sunlight, and the photographer asked him, why did he have a silver leg today? Okay, I get that. But the first scene you see him in is in the damn ship where he's walking with R2-D2 and Darth Vader is coming on their ship and coming after the princess. And you can see him walking down the hallway, and there is no way you would not see that silver leg. But as far as I can remember, and apparently everybody else, he was gold from head to toe. But apparently not anymore. Bum, bum, bum.
Always say I can't. Watch those fucking movies.
So, but see, apparently we just all
How
have
funny
bad
is that
memories, guys.
How funny is that they would make something so minuscule just to see if you would catch it or not?
Is that
So
what
has
it
he
is?
been repaired, and that's just a repaired leg?
That's what they... I don't know. It doesn't make any sense.
Well,
We've all been taking
if there's
Lyrica.
infinite possibilities, and
You know.
then these Mandela effects that we're experiencing, those are just some of the subtle changes.
In the reality we came from, he was always gold. But
Yes.
in this one, apparently, he always had a silver leg from the knee down.
And the next one, he may be opposite, all silver and a gold.
With a gold
leg.
leg.
Yeah. He's got
It's
like that chrome
insane.
gold look
It's
to him.
crazy
Like
to
a light
consider
gold.
that.
Well, it does lend to the idea that it's a holographic world, though, if that's the case, because they can change it anytime they feel like it.
Exactly. One of my favorite ones, and then we'll move on to something else, but who's a Bond fan? Anybody? James Bond movies?
Talking about
No.
Metal Mouth, the metal.
Oh yeah, I'm going there.
Dude, that one's such an obvious slap in the face. It's
Yep.
like, fuck you
This
guys.
one actually makes me angry.
It makes me angry, too. It's an
It's
insult
very
to my
irritating.
intelligence.
Did you ever... Okay, my favorite Bond for now and always will be Roger Moore. He was awesome. I know everybody says Sean Connery. I was
Roger
not a
Moore
Sean
was the
Connery.
man.
Roger Moore was awesome. He just recently died too. God
Yeah.
rest his soul.
Did you know, was it Roger Moore or Sean Connery at work? Sean Connery, did you know he had a toupee?
What? Damn.
The whole
I
time
did
he's playing
not
James
know
Bond.
that. Terrible. But in my favorite one that he was in was Moonraker. And Jaws
It's
was...
the worst one.
Dude, Moonraker was freaking awesome. Shut your mouth.
Yeah,
But Jaws was an awesome villain, and he was nicknamed that because he had those metal teeth.
Yeah.
Okay, he could bite through anything. Well, in Moonraker, there's a scene where they're in these cable cars, and he's in a cable car, and he's trying to catch up to crash into James Bond and his love interest in this particular movie, and they get off just in time. Well, he can't slow it down, and he crashes in to the port where they would come into, when the people would get off. And there's this big explosion, and the whole thing's wrecked. And there's the big wheel that the cable is wrapped around.
Oh, you know the cable he bit into?
Yeah,
that was a licorice, by the way, going.
Oh, it was?
Yeah,
it was licorice? That's awesome. Well, so he's trying to get up and get that thing off him, and this little Heidi chick with glasses, I think, she rolls up, got pigtails. She couldn't weigh more than 90 pounds, maybe a tiny little thing. She gets there, and she helps him get it up, and then he stands up, and they look at each other.
Make eye contact.
There's this love at first sight crap because they smile at each other. And my reality, she had braces, and he had metal teeth. That's why the scene was funny.
That's what made the scene.
Watch it now. She has pearly whites. The scene makes no damn sense. She's standing there going, grinning at him. He grins back with the big metal teeth. The scene makes no damn sense.
Yeah,
but apparently I just got a bad memory.
They killed the plot.
It doesn't make any sense.
That's why it's the worst film now.
Yeah. So I don't know how to explain that. But everybody else I've talked to, nobody that I can remember, remembers her having what was that other that retainer? They don't remember a retainer. They remember braces. They don't remember her having yellow teeth or having some cavities or missing a tooth. Mm-hmm. No, it's braces or no braces. There is no in between. There is no, what I'm saying, and that's what I'm saying. If it was misremembering, you would think with our terrible memories there would be multiple versions,
right?
Unless it is all just because of the interwebs.
It's hard to believe it's just the interwebs.
That's what I'm saying.
What's funny is another one, and I'll let us move on. We're about out of time, but I want to just point out this Berenstain Bears thing.
Oh, God.
I remember even being a little kid. Like I'm a grammar Nazi, so I can remember being a little kid thinking, why do they call it Berenstain when it should be Berenstain? If it was Berenstain,
right,
it'd be EIN,
right.
So they call Berenstain.
So it's Berenstein.
Yeah, it's Berenstein Bears.
Is how we always remember being Berenstein Bears.
Now it's an A, so it's Berenstain.
Right. So who would have looked at Berenstain and said Berenstein, Beren whatever? It doesn't make any sense. But again, just our bad human memories.
That's
apparently.
the famous one. That's
the famous one. That's what it should be named. It shouldn't be the Mandela effect. It should be the Berenstein effect.
Yep.
Because that's the one everybody remembers on anything. I actually had to run to and dig out my kids' old books because I had one. And as soon as I first heard about this, I ran in there, dug through the tote, dug the book out, and I was like, no freaking way, dude.
I remember it vividly being EIN, Berenstein. Because I used to think, why are they mispronouncing it? It should be Berenstain Bears.
What's even crazier, is my dad's been studying Bible prophecy since before I was born. That's 40 plus years. And there's scriptures in the King James Bible that he says they're not like he remembers them being. You know what I'm saying?
Really?
That's mind-blowing. Not all of them. Some of the ones that people, because there's so many people that want to be a part of it, they'll jump on board, start calling crap out, and they won't have their facts right. But there are some of the classic ones, and I don't remember right offhand, but Dad says, in my King James Bible, I remembered it was always this way, and now it's not.
Right.
And there's a lot of Christian people that come out and they're defending it because they refuse to accept that anything is possible that could change the inerrant, that means without error, almighty Word of God. It's just a book. You know what I mean?
Wow. So guys, I think we ought to instigate our bullshitter badass roundtable ending here. Holographic Earth, Shaggy, bullshit or badass?
Are we talking holographic or are we just mean artificial? Absolutely. The physical organic reality is not true reality.
So you're saying badass?
Totally badass.
What about you, John?
I don't know.
I'm calling bullshit. What about you?
I'll say it's pretty badass. I like that.
Mm-hmm.
Just that thought that could be.
It's great that we all have different opinions, though. I love it. That we
and
all
by
can
the
have
way,
different...
that's what the the Until Dawn podcast, that was their comment, that they liked the fact that we all look at things from a different perspective, different paraspective. You're so fired.
So John, do you buy into the fake reality, or do you think this is it? Is this it? Is this real? Or
I don't believe this is it. I just don't know what else is after.
But okay, let me rephrase the question. Do you think this is a projected reality from an outside source and we're make believe?
Now that's not what I was saying. I don't believe we're make believe.
No, we wouldn't be make believe, but at the same time, it's projected. It's not real. It's a dream state.
It was created for a purpose that we're in. But what's the purpose?
Studying us.
Yeah, like we're in a.
You know what I need to get on in our podcast?
Who?
Art. My friend Art Thomason. I have a friend who's a NASA engineer, and he actually is the lead spacewalk engineer for. Shout out to Art Thomason, NASA, for NASA. Like if they're going outside the space station to do a repair or do a spacewalk, he's the guy that helps design it. He writes it. He goes on NASA Network.
But he's part of the cover-up, man.
I love
I need him to find out if the Earth
I
is
just
round.
hope that I didn't pay for this experience.
Let's have him on the Flat Earth episode.
I love messing with him every time I'll yell out, "Yo, Art, moon pigeons." He hates moon pigeons. He hates when I say it.
What are moon pigeons? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, John. You were saying something.
So I hope I didn't pay for this experience. Like, pay for
I want my money back.
to be projected into this reality, you know.
You want your money back?
And my,
Just enjoy the show.
actuality is something else.
All right, guys. Well, we appreciate y'all listening to another Paraspective. We're the Para-holiX.
Yep.
And until next time,
Later, pair of heads.
Keep it paranormal, people.
Yeah.
Peace.
Once again, thanks for listening to us ramble on. I'm Shaggy, and I'm addicted to the paranormal, also reminding you to question everything and believe very little.
And I'm Huck, and I'm addicted to the paranormal as well, also reminding you that conspiracy happens, and that's not a theory. Keep it paranormal, people.
This is J-Lo speaking, and I'm addicted to the paranormal. And we would like to take the time to thank our sponsor, Para-holiX Anonymous, where it's okay to be addicted to all of us.